work together before it's too late. Spread the peace, stop the hate. Join the peace police, keep America great.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Peace Police broadcast. This, what day is it? This November 17th, 2019. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving's coming up soon. And after that, it's the Christmas season. Do you believe it, Lowell? It's like,
wow.
It's 85 today where I live. Hey, Lowell. 85 where I live, and Christmas is coming soon. You believe that, man?
Yeah, we're 80 here in the other desert north of you.
Exactly.
That's right.
I'm Rick White, one of the founding members of Peace Police. Lowell is the founder, Lowell Pass. And
hello, everybody.
We're so glad you're here. We talk about politics on this broadcast, but really what we talk about is civility and peace and discourse. And we're here to kind of keep an eye on what's going on and to tell other people that we should stand for civility. That's why we were created. And so what we like to do kind of on every broadcast, because new people see this every time, so we like to talk about kind of how we were started and what this thing is called the Peace Police. So for that, I turn it over to Lowell. Lowell, tell us about how this whole thing started.
All right. Well, it was about, not this past summer, but the one before, about June. Most of us will say now it's obvious that there's a split in the country and there's division and there's even unhinged people on both sides and there's a lot of violence and stuff, incivility going on among the citizenry. But we saw it years ago creeping up and coming up, and it started to, I'm sure people that are really aware, it started to concern them. But last summer, or the summer before, in June, I had a series of dreams where there were people in major cities that were having clashes, I mean, physically and violent and dangerous. And in these dreams, I had 2 or 3 nights in a row, and I think I had a fourth one, but the repetitive nature of that, it bothered me. I thought, what in the world? Why do I keep having this dream? Because I believe that was a knowing that this was going to happen, and it's already really reached a fever pitch now. But I called you up and I said, hey, I had these dreams, but there was also this other grassroots bunch of people, not as many, but they were strong there and said Peace Police on their shirts and hats and stuff. And they were there basically just saying, hey, knock it off, both sides. We're not for this. We're for civility. We're for peace. We're for talking about our political differences, but we have more in common that unite us. So knock it off.
Right.
And that's basically, I told you that. And then fortunately, you're good to coming up with some ideas. And you came up with a theme song for us, and you came up with a logo for us that's now a registered trademark.
That's right.
And these things usually germinate and start on a tiny level, just grassroots, because people don't have thousands or hundreds or millions to invest in launching them. So, but the word of mouth begins to carry. Now we've got a few hundred people, but we launched July 4th, a little over a year ago. So it's been about 16 months and starting to catch hold. But we got a lot of things yet to do. We're in the process of writing a book and all. And you came up with our website, our logo, our theme song. And I think the main thing is our intent and motive for doing this. We don't know where it'll go.
Right.
But it's about time Americans from both sides and everybody in the middle that's civil.
Right.
You're going to always have your crazies out there. But people that want peace and civility for the good of the whole country come together in a new peace movement, and that's what we're about.
Yeah, I think we kind of expect the politicians to be at each other's throats, right? That's kind of the way politics has always been.
Yeah.
But the problem is that the media has kind of become the amplifier, like a guitar amp, right, of particular agendas, right? I mean, different channels have different agendas. And unfortunately, what's happened is we as a society used to recognize that there's debate and civil debate between politicians, and sometimes the politicians get a little crazy. But
different sides of an issue.
But
right.
down here in the land of the people, we always respected each other's differences. I mean, there's always been exceptions, but there was a general thing. If your guy didn't get in as the president, you just said, "Oh well, that's why we have elections every 4 years."
That's right.
And you know, that's how it used to be. I
You
mean,
lick your wounds and you say, "I'm praying for him."
I'm a Republican. I've been a Republican, you know, most of my life. I remember when Jimmy Carter was president. He was a Democrat. You know, you found ways to like you said, Lowell, pray for him, pray the Lord for him. You know, do you know, that kind of stuff. Bill Clinton, you know, you found what you could like about him. You spoke when you disagreed, but you didn't act like he was Hitler or throw those kind
That's
of
right.
names, right? When Obama was president, you know, the thing about Obama is I wouldn't mind going out and having a beer with the guy. Seems like an okay guy
Exactly.
to go have a beer with. So we could separate, right? We could do that stuff.
I do what they say in Texas. I would have a beer with him, have a good time with him, but I would square him off.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, you're a Texas guy. I'm a Jersey guy, so I'm an Italian from Jersey. So with us, it's, you know, I just call somebody to square them off, you know, and then I
Exactly.
I go
but I
away.
would just say, well, what do you think about that and why?
That's right. That's right. But what's changed is, I'll just say it. What's changed is Donald Trump. Donald Trump, from when he first started running for president, was ridiculed. People were like, I remember some of the TV hosts. There's a lady named Ann Coulter who's, you know, pretty conservative, pretty funny. They asked her on a panel show, who do you think has the best chance in the Republican field? And this is before anybody had gotten anybody.
Way before everybody else.
Yeah, and she said Donald Trump, and they laughed at her. Everybody in the place just laughed at her, and it's funny. She was right. But that's the point,
and
right?
there's several of those, Rick, where there's different shows that they laugh at that idea, you know.
So there, from the beginning, this guy he was just an object of hate and ridicule from the left. And as he ascended and kept going and started winning, they couldn't believe it. And then when he won, Hillary didn't even come out and give a concession speech. I had relatives who basically interacted with me and said, if you support Trump, I didn't want to talk to you, kind of thing. So
wow.
This whole thing was a punch in the stomach because these people literally hated this man. And
let me just add, Rick, not to interrupt, but this is so important.
Yeah, that's right.
It's so important that the same people that jumped on the bandwagon to attack him,
right,
and to criticize him, weeks and months and for years before that, had him on their shows, were friends with him.
Oh, took money from him.
Even said things like Hillary, that what we need is more people like you in the office because you're trustworthy and all and this stuff is on video.
They took money from him. Now here's my point, though, and you're absolutely right. But you know what? I'm just going to say.
So then to turn is my point. You know, it's.
Yeah. Well, you know what it shows? It shows that politicians are slimy, and we've always known that. And so we've known that politicians are slimy. That's just. I mean, there's maybe small minor exceptions, but they want to keep their job, right? There's no term limit, so they want to keep their job. But what's changed is that slime, I think, and I know you probably agree, Lowell, because of the amplification of the media, the sliminess has infiltrated everyone. Like our entire society is split now. And it's not just about having discourse. It's not just about talking.
There's no discourse.
No, instead, it's... you know, if you support Trump, I can't speak to you.
You're a Nazi.
You're a Nazi, you know, and there's always been like psychos on the right, like the far, far psycho right, like Timothy McVeigh that did stupid shit. You know?
Right.
So I cursed.
And you've had your left crazy groups, yeah.
Yeah, but there's never been, I can't remember in my lifetime, people saying to another person, because you voted for that person, I can't speak to you anymore. This is what's new, and this is what we saw that 16 months ago. Right, it was evil. We saw that 16 months ago, and we're like, how does this end, right? You know what's funny is his policies have been successful. You and I both believe that.
Results.
I think the facts speak for it. But what that does is that's like poking these haters in the face. And they're getting more and more.
Yeah.
And they're getting more and more angry. And what if he wins in 2020? And so that's why we're here, because there's anger.
Right.
And you know what? Some anger is righteous anger. Some anger is justifiable anger. But anger against a human being for voting, which is our right in the Constitution, it's one of the things that makes America different than, than puppet governments and kangaroo governments and stuff and dictatorships. Is we
The
all
citizens of America don't do that. It's willfully wicked.
It is wicked.
You're supposed to be able to have civil discourse and friendship and have a beer with somebody you totally disagree with on any issue.
But
it's nuts. It's gotten out of control.
And we don't talk about this much, Lowell, but when you find like a corrupt idea going on or corruption, no matter where it is, in church, in government, in life, in business, you have to follow the money. It's about money. And so who benefits?
Trace the money.
Who benefits from stoking division in this country? I think it's the media. They have shows where people are at each other's. It's like Jerry Springer, right? Jerry Springer brings on.
It's a modern day Jerry Springer.
It is. Jerry Springer brings on the wife and the husband when the husband's cheating, and he brings on the person the husband's cheating with, because he's really hoping that the wife is going to go punch her in the face and they're going to have a cat fight and scratch each other's eyes out.
Which they do, of course.
That's
yes.
exactly what he wants, right? But that's Jerry Springer. We all knew that. But the regular news media now is doing the same thing. It's because people will tune in. And the unfortunate part of that is when the majority of the population just trusts that and says, well, they're telling me the truth. So now we don't even have the real picture anymore. And now we're all at each other's throats. And that's
yeah, and I think even when Trump, I know it ticks him off, pisses him off, but when he started calling it what it is,
the
fake news. Fake news.
It is.
It's not only fake, it's fraudulent because it's for the intent and purpose and the motive of dividing the people and creating a circus of attention.
Yeah.
And even the division plays for bigger ratings, of course. It's wicked.
And people will listen to you and I talk, and here's what they'll say. They'll say, well, you just blindly support Trump and you guys just are right wing. Didn't we just say that this is all politicians? Politicians are slimy. So we're on record.
And even an outsider like Trump that wasn't a politician that came in, he's still got a Queens, New York attitude, and some aren't going to like it. But what we're looking at is just simply substance over style.
Right.
And people want to hate him because of the propaganda they've been fed and force-fed and injected into them. And then when you get down to it, they no longer look at the policies, the platform, the positions, or the results.
Right.
And then they just launch into a hatred. And you have to be able to stop and look in the mirror and say, listen, I'm doing that.
That's right. Well, it's the there was a movie called Wag the Dog. I think I saw it, but I know the premise of it, and that's where the media creates the news instead of just observing and reporting on it. And the tail's wagging the dog then.
Exactly what's happening.
And that's what's happening. And so what we decided to do, Lowell was the brain, the brains behind this. And if you go to our peacepolice.net, which I'm going to share the screen right now, and
just show them everything
and
there.
show you that. If you go there, let me get rid of some of these graphics. If you go there, you can click on right here a message to the founder, or a message from the founder, and Lowell will tell you there in his message, how we came to be and why we're here. So that's a good read. There's some good stuff there. But there's other things you can see on here. If you go to our homepage, I want to start there. First of all, you see this hat. Now, you can't see right now because we're not on camera, but you saw that Lowell and I are both wearing this hat. This is one way that you can help. It sounds crazy, right? But you buy a hat for $20 or whatever it is. And we have costs for manufacturing and stuff, and we'll get some money from that, and we'll put it into the cost of running this broadcast and creating a book. So we're not going to make a lot of money off it. But here's the bottom line: you're going to wear that hat because it looks cool and it looks patriotic. But then people see Peace Police on it, and they're like, "What is that?"
They will ask you,
and it's great every time we do it. People ask questions. And we're able to say, and here's the thing. Here's how we get around this subversive media. This is how we subvert them, is we talk directly to the people that are watching the news. And we give them a different perspective. And the perspective is simply this. We just believe, and I'm going to click on the next page, in our core values, which are peace. Americans are a peace-loving people, yet lately it seems like peace among our citizenry is beginning to disintegrate. Rhetoric is becoming hostile and hateful. Shouting, verbal attacks, and harassment are also becoming too common. People need to learn to peacefully disagree. You tell that to someone after you have a conversation with a hat, and they're like, yeah, we should be able to peacefully disagree. That's what we're talking about. The next one is civility. It says, what happened to manners? What happened to polite disagreement? What happened to respect? Instead, many paint those who disagree with them as evil. Restoring peace between us must start with civility. I don't know why my computer just got weird there. Hold on. We can disagree and we should debate, but hatred must stop. So we've got to do that. And then discourse. Just can we talk? Can we please talk about it? You know, these impeachment hearings are one way that, you know,
Wow.
again, we're gonna probably bear our conservative bias here because we are conservative. But, you know, one way to stop discourse is to not allow the other side to talk at all.
Oh, my goodness.
It's the opposite. These are
I mean, anybody ought to be able to say, yeah, that's right.
these. You know, when we took debate in high school, we knew that we had to make our case and try to make it well, and then there was a thing called rebuttal.
That's right.
And you had to kind of stand up under the rebuttal and see if your ideas worked, right? And of course, in a court of law, you have that, right? But not in these impeachment hearings. And what's funny, Lowell, you and I were just talking about this. What do you think the goal is of these impeachment hearings?
Well, it's definitely not to remove him from office, because that's not going to happen with the Senate meeting. So it's an intent to try to sully, in the people's minds, sully his reputation to the point where people don't vote for him. You know?
It's a political move. It's not
political.
They stand up there and say, it's absolutely not political. We're just doing what the Constitution tells us we have to do. It's just crazy. And you know what? I really believe this, Lowell. Even people that don't agree with me, that are more on the left than on the right, I think reasonable people throughout this country see it for what it is.
Oh, of course.
And that's really
80% see it.
That's why we're here. But here's the thing. If you only watch one news channel and don't ever look at the other side, you're not seeing things clearly. And that goes for me too. I want to know what the other people are thinking, and they're hoping that you don't. They're hoping that you just stay up, because they're stoking this hatred between family, brothers. We're supposed to be brothers and sisters.
Yeah, family
in America. We're the American family, but we're being torn apart. And that's why we're here. On that front page of peacepolice.net, there's a red button at the bottom that says, let me see what it says. It says, become a patron. If you click there, you could sign up for as little as $5 a month. And that, again, will just help us. Again, we're not going to get rich on this. What we're going to do is take any of those funds that we get and put out more content.
Content.
I'll tell you, we're the underdog here, Lowell. We're not a news channel. We're a couple of guys on their computers who happen to have some high-speed internet connections.
And we're not a Tom Steyer, billionaire or something.
No. No, we're not.
Right.
We're not millionaires. We're barely thousandaires, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
But the bottom line is, grassroots movements work. They've happened in the past. They'll happen again. But there's no quick path. It's literally individuals being involved, saying, I've spent my money on whatever. I spend. I personally, I didn't want to think about sometimes how much money I spend eating out or having Starbucks or stuff like that. How about I skip one Starbucks a month? One Starbucks a month to become a patron and kind of help this movement get off the ground. That's what grassroots is. That's how it works. There's nobody's going to come meet Lowell and I and say, I love your idea. Here's $1 million. It's just not going to happen. But
we welcome you to, if you want to.
If you want to do that.
And we believe it would be worth your while if you have that to
that's right.
dispose of. However, I want to say this, that we don't have unrealistic expectations. Usually something takes a while to germinate.
Right.
And just from a few hundred that we have right now, it may not become thousands or 10,000s or whatever, but it may in another year or two, or if Trump wins the next election,
Right.
you're going to have 4 more years of hate and despair. So we're here early, and we want you to join us.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Things could happen. What if you saw these crazy mugs that you're seeing on the screen right now on CNN or Fox News just saying, listen, stop. Be respectful to each other. Stop calling names. It's peace. And listen, that's what we'll talk about. Peace, civility, and discourse. That's our mission.
Exactly.
We're on a mission from God, like the Blues Brothers said. And our mission is to get up there and say, stop it. Hey, I'm going to call you. I'm even going to call you out, news anchor, like Kellyanne Conway called out Wolf Blitzer this week. I'm going to call you out. Stop doing that. We're here to be the arbiters, kind of saying, it's be peaceful, be civil, and let's talk about stuff. I think that's missing, Lowell. Occasionally I hear somebody say it on the news, like Greg Gutfeld or one of those guys, and I get excited, but it's only like 1%. We need to up that, right?
Yeah, we need to up that because people aren't they're afraid to challenge it as well. People are being silent, being separated. It's getting pretty bad.
It is, and that's why we're here. Lowell, you mentioned the song. It's called Spread the Peace. You can get it on iTunes. If you go to our website, like I just showed you, in the right-hand column, you can click on that. Again, 99 cents. I think we get 60 cents out of that. But that's another thing we can do, don't despise. I think there's a scripture that says, don't despise the day of small beginnings. And that's what we're doing. We're here to be a voice of reason. That's actually a voice of civility that says quit calling names. And guess what? Sometimes the people we even support in politics, like the president, are
sometimes they have a bad mouth.
Uncivil. And we're going to call it out when he does it too. Because it doesn't do anybody any good to call names. Sticks and stones is just...
Yeah, you don't call people a fatso or a baby killer or,
Exactly.
Yeah, it just doesn't make a good relationship foundation.
Yeah. Here's a good rule of thumb. If you couldn't get away with it in kindergarten, don't do it. Yeah, you had a teacher that would have, if you went to Catholic kindergarten, you might get your wrist slapped with a ruler. But the bottom line is, if your kindergarten teacher would reprimand you for saying it, don't say it. How about that? That's easy. That's free. I just came up with that one off the top of my head.
That's a good one.
All right. Well, that's kind of who we are and what we're about. Have we left anything out, Lowell?
I don't think so. Just we love you to help spread the word. Usually these broadcasts, on a Sunday afternoon, live, we don't have that many people participating yet. But when we do, it's usually from around the country and even some other places in the world. And it gets replayed over and over with, hundreds of views. So we just appreciate you helping seed the idea here, because I think everybody can agree that the motive and intent of this is strictly to get us back to where we may not agree on things, but we can agree to be civil and to talk about it and to be respectful of each other. I think everybody can agree to that.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better. Thank you all for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll be back next week. Hi, Patsy. We're glad you're here. I see your comments there. I see that you're having some health issues. We're going to pray for you because we're that's what we do when we hear stuff like this. And Patsy, I just want to say we love your support. You've always been a good friend of the Peace Police. So thank you for that. And you hang in there, okay? And the rest of you out there, hang in there and spread the peace, stop the hate. Let's work together before it's too late.
Spread the peace, stop the hate. Let's work together before it's too late. Spread the peace, stop the hate. Let's work together before it's too late. Spread the peace, stop the hate. Let's work together before it's too late. Spread the peace, stop the hate. Let's work together before it's too late. Now brave men died to keep you free. They paid the greatest price so you could speak your mind and live a long and happy each other. These hateful attitudes are turning brother against brother. If we don't fix this soon, there's gonna be chaos in the streets. There's no more time to lose. We gotta stand and spread the peace. Spread the peace, stop the hate. Let's work together